hey, congratulations for All My Puny Sorrows.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hey, so tell me how you discovered the book to write the story for the film like this.
Yeah, so it was a fairly like it was a bestseller in Canada, and it was sort of I think I read it. I don't know how early. I read other stuff of Miriam's and I really liked it, so I just read it as a. I wasn't looking at it when I read it as a film project, and I really enjoyed it. And then my wife read it, and she was like, "I think this would be a good film." And I sort of sat on it, that idea, and I was like, wrestled with it for a bit. And I realized there's three great castable roles in this that when you're trying to make these independent films, you think, I think we could maybe punch above our weight because these roles are so great. So then I approached Miriam and just said I'd love to do this, and we sort of went ahead with it.
So how did you adapt a film this into a film like this? And where I guess in novel adaptations you have to cut certain things out.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a math equation in some ways. Like I thought it would be easy. I thought I'd be like, okay, I've got a great world. I've got these great characters. I don't know. It's not going to take me that long. And I couldn't do it. So I spent a year I'd start things and it was just not that good. So I was ready to give up the option and just go like, I don't know. I can't do it. And I went out to dinner with Miriam just to sort of say, I don't know, like I'm a failure. And during that dinner, I sort of figured out, we just sort of talked about things. It was great. Like there wasn't really anything specific she said, but I sort of came away from that dinner sort of knowing thematically that Yoli has to restore balance in the universe as sort of my way from the book into the screenplay. And then that kind of unlocked it. And I was able to sort of make the film through Yoli's eyes, if that makes sense. And I think the book was more balanced between the two sisters. And I mean, obviously, Elf is a huge part of the film, as is Lottie and the other characters. But that sort of was my way of unlocking it. And then you just make a thousand decisions of, do we need this scene in the book? What can we cut? I think there's a couple of cases where there's really good scenes, but there are other characters that I didn't have room for in the film that I would sort of hack into one of our other characters. So it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, but I mean, the story itself is a quite challenging story because you want to. I don't want to say it's the most uplifting story out there.
No, it deals with suicide. It's a tough topic, and it's based on Miriam's. It's a novel, but it's a true story in the sense that these events happened in Miriam's life. And what attracted me to the book was, even though it was tough at times, there was incredible emotion and there was incredible humor. And it's not, I don't feel like the film is just bleak, just this bleak fest that you're going to have to an endurance test of bleak, but rather there's all kinds of emotion and there's a lot of humor in the film, and not humor for the sake of, okay, let's just be funny because we need to offset, but it felt like, and in the book and hopefully in the film, that it was germane to the world of All My Puny Sorrows.
Yeah, you're talking about like a sort of like a family humor, between the sisters and the mother.
Yeah. I mean, in the dial, I mean, like we've screened it and I've seen it in front of audiences. There's lots of laughs and I think people are surprised at that. And my thing is, like, you can laugh at a funeral, there's moments of absurdity. There's moments of, here's, where she's freaking out in the parking lot. And then right after that, there's this joke, I had trouble parking, and we know it's completely absurd based on what just came before it. So
Yeah, I mean it's a tough subject to approach, especially when it's suicidal genetics, and
yeah.
it's inevitable. It's which is the tough fight. That
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that the argument that the book makes and that we did in the film is this, that suicide for some people is a logical response. And that's a pretty stark argument to face. It's scary. And I also thought it was incredibly interesting to examine that, because, it sets up that dramatic opposition. I want you to live and you want to die. So we're sisters, and we're sisters who love each other. So
Mhm.
that becomes, I think incredibly dramatic soil to till.
So do you see this film as a sort of like a path to suicide, or do you see it as a film where it's about like letting go?
Well, I don't think I don't think this film is a path to suicide. I think I see the film as a love story between members of a family, and
Mhm.
and the price that love sort of extracts, and and looking at the ramifications of that love as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it is an eye opener. I mean, I learned quite a bit about Switzerland. I didn't know that that's
Oh, yeah.
actually legal over there, legal over there.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about casting Alice and Sarah um, in their perfect roles here.
Yeah, so I worked with a casting director based in LA, Heidi Levitt, and she did a fantastic job of sort of generating interest and excitement in the script. And then we sort of just threw a bunch of names sort of to like a gather, and really it was all kind of hinged on the casting of Yoli, because that would then affect the ages of the mother Lottie and the sister Elf. And so it could have gone like even 10 years older, and we were even considering that. But then when Alison came on, um, I mean, I love her work, and my first conversation with her, it was obvious that she completely got it and would be perfect for it. And I had spoken to Sarah Gadon a couple of years earlier about the project. I met her in LA, and I always thought she has that sort of, she had a great Elf quality. And so I said, and I said, okay, well, I can't offer this to you now because, first of all, I don't know when we're going, and second of all, it does depend on Yoli. But quickly after Allison came on board, just Sarah seemed like such a perfect fit for her, them together. And I think, as you say, the on-screen chemistry between them is incredible.
How long did they develop that on-screen chemistry? I mean, did it because it's two hard characters to play.
Yeah, so they went to, I mean, Allison's a couple of years older than Sarah, but they went to the same high school. They had worked on a MOW like 20 years ago, and they've known each other for a long time. And then in rehearsal, because Allison was isolating, Sarah came up, and they did a lot of work before they got to set. So they were really, it was sort of the first time in my career that we had done so much rehearsal, and it was fantastic because it just allowed us more time to shoot rather than sort of, oh well, what are we trying to do, what's the scene doing, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. I I felt those emotions from the humor to those intense argument scenes. Those are really good scenes in the film for
Yeah, oh thanks, good. I mean, it was sort of, for me, it's watching just two incredible actors go at it was such a privilege.
you. Now, in the book, was Yoli the narrator throughout the book itself? Because you used quite a bit for narration.
Yeah, that's a good question. Most of that stuff I think I wrote, but I don't know if she was the narrator or not. I forget. It's a good question, because everything is a blur to me, because I mean, most of it's not most, but most of it's from the book. But stuff I can no longer. It's all a jumble in my head I should be able to know who if it was narrated in Yoli's voice, but I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure. So
No, that's all right. Um, so in the filming, I guess one of the things is that Elf is a pianist. Who tell us about the music composition that you used for the film?
yeah, that's a good question. It was Sarah that said, like, kind of early on, so what type of pianist am I really? Like, and we sort of had a debate whether we were going to go like she's just technically brilliant, and like we sort of showed in an earlier flashback scene that she plays the Rachmaninoff, but we were like, okay, what about if you're a more emotional pianist? And she had she said, I said, how about this person? It was a Montreal pianist. It was like, oh, that's a good sort of comparable. So then we got our composers to sort of write something in more of an emotional vein rather than a technically proficient vein, in the sense of like, oh, we've proven that she's a virtuoso. Now she sort of moved beyond that and into playing, trying to inspire emotion in audiences.
So whose hands on the piano?
That's a good. It was Sarah's all. No, it was actually Sarah's for one part of it. It was just it was a stunt double that played great piano. And it's actually interesting. So it's the first time I'd filmed anything like that, and piano is very good to try to fake. Like it's an easier one than say trying to do the violin or something like that.
No, I happen to agree, but it's just one of those things. Is in films, it's always fake, but actors do a really good job imitating piano playing.
Yeah.
So just in wrapping it up, Michael, you want to are you heading towards more dramas as your next project?
Well, I have no idea what. I mean, I've got a lot of things in development, and you never quite know what what the world is going to want or let you do. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to. Obviously, it's a great space to work in for sure.
Well, we appreciate you speaking to us, and thank you for not giving up on All My Puny Sorrows.
Oh, thanks. It's been a pleasure.
I can't imagine how it's a up and down journey for you, but you got it done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care. Have a good day.